is the 7th largest company in the entire world. The $1.7 trillion giant, Facebook, now known as Meta, about to copy the MicroStrategy playbook that was created by Michael Saylor. I know it sounds a little bit crazy, but we have some breaking news. We can see that Meta has been urged to consider a Bitcoin treasury strategy to adopt Bitcoin. This has been all over Twitter, and it makes a lot of sense because, as we can see, MicroStrategy has the 7th largest treasury now. Since this chart was made, they've actually climbed up to be literally 2 places under Metaplanet. Now, let's not forget, Metaplanet is the only company on this list that can actually adopt Bitcoin and then subsequently buy more Bitcoin than MicroStrategy. Okay, Facebook is the only company that can do that. And that is because of the chart that I want to show you. Mark Zuckerberg has controlling interest over Facebook. He can do what he wants with this company because he does have the majority of the voting power. So today we're going to be actually explaining, can Mark Zuckerberg and will Facebook become the next Bitcoin company? Let's not forget, 2 other FANG giants and 2 other Magnificent 7 giants have been urged to adopt Bitcoin in the past month alone. We saw Amazon and Microsoft both be pressured by their shareholders to adopt Bitcoin, and now we have the 7th largest company, Meta. So today we're going to be having a look at what exactly is going on with this new proposal regarding Meta, because I think we could be seeing something very, very interesting here. So let's break down the news before we get into the interesting rabbit holes surrounding Meta. Because again, for those who might have forgotten, we do know that Mark Zuckerberg actually probably already owns Bitcoin. I mean, let's not forget his goat. He has 2 goats, and they are named Max and Bitcoin. That is a real tweet by the one and the only Mark Zuckerberg a number of years ago now. Let's not forget that, okay? And let's also not forget what else is very important to this story. And that is the fact that our boy, Zuckerberg, actually has controlling voting power over Meta. So we can see he has 62% of the votes. And this means some pretty interesting things. This means, hypothetically, if the shareholders of Facebook agree that, hey, we want to adopt a Bitcoin strategy, this man could push the company in that direction in a pretty strong manner. Again, let's just have a look here for a moment at how much voting power he has. He has a lot of voting power. Now, this is important because if a company is to make such a bold decision, like buy Bitcoin, they need a leader at the helm who can actually move the ship in the direction that needs to be sailed. Now, what I find interesting is that Zuckerberg has that controlling vote over Facebook. So he could push Metaplanet to rapidly adopt Bitcoin before a really interesting thing could happen. And that is before MicroStrategy climbs up this list here that we're looking at and overtakes Meta platforms. So again, let's look at this list in a little bit more detail. We can see when this was created a few weeks ago now, MicroStrategy was at the bottom of this chart with a $26 billion treasury, all the way down here. But we need to update this chart. Now we need to quickly look at this line here, Metaplanet. Oh, well, this is Meta Platform, sorry, not Metaplanet. Meta, Facebook, has a $71 billion treasury. Now, where's MicroStrategy's treasury right now? It's at $42 billion. So if we jump back on over to this chart, that would actually put MicroStrategy just under General Electric. They would have the 7th largest treasury in the entire world, and Meta Platforms has the 5th largest treasury, 4th largest treasury, depending upon how you measure it. So what's really interesting about this timing by the shareholders of the $1.6 trillion giant platform Meta is that right now they have a very narrow and shrinking window of opportunity to buy Bitcoin and then put their entire liquid cash into Bitcoin to hold on to more Bitcoin than MicroStrategy. That's a hypothetical. I'm not going to lie. I don't think it's the base case here. But it is a very interesting scenario because this window of opportunity for Facebook to hold more Bitcoin on the balance sheet than any other public company, this opportunity is shrinking. It's not going to be here forever. It's going to move away very quickly because, why? Of course, Michael Saylor is buying more Bitcoin at a rapid rate. And he's really not slowing down. Saylor's just aggressively buying more and more Bitcoin. Look at all of these massive green dots here at the very top of this chart on the right-hand side. He's been buying aggressively at $101,000 Bitcoin, $97,000 Bitcoin, $106,000 Bitcoin. He nearly bought the top exactly. Saylor's buyers are not slowing down. They're just getting more aggressive. And something interesting is we can see these buyers are coming every Monday. So have a look at this. December 9, December 16, December 23, every 7 days there's a new Bitcoin buy. December 30, January 6. What's 7 days after January 6? That is, of course, January 13. It's Saturday today, depending upon where you are watching this live stream. And that means Monday is coming. We could see another Michael Saylor buy announced on Monday, meaning that the window of opportunity for Meta to hold more Bitcoin on the balance sheet than Michael Saylor is shrinking very rapidly. That window of opportunity is moving away. I don't think it's going to be here for very long. And again, I wouldn't be surprised to see Meta Planet want to do this or want to employ a Bitcoin strategy. Because if you look at their stock performance growth, yeah, it's great. Don't get me wrong. They've done well. Since 2021, Meta is up by about 70%. They've nearly doubled since 2021. They've done great. They've got, you can see it on screen, a $1.55 trillion market cap. But you know who is rapidly approaching them? This man right here. We're looking now at the $80 billion market cap of MicroStrategy. This thing, MicroStrategy's market cap has grown from $1 billion to $80 billion in 4 years. When we really look at this on this chart here, you can really see it just how wild this growth is. And you can see why, as McLovin says in the chat, Zuck is taking notes. It's hard not to when the chart of a competitor's looks like this. Look at how parabolic this thing is. This is the MicroStrategy market cap. It's going bananas. It is going absolutely bananas. And this is why we're watching 3 of the FANG companies being forced to investigate Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset. Let's look at the top 10 companies in the entire world. And let's have a look at how many of them either own Bitcoin or are being forced to investigate Bitcoin. Apple and Nvidia, not yet. Microsoft, yes. Who remembers what happened to Microsoft 3 weeks ago? Their board was forced to vote on whether to adopt Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset, and only 0.55% of Microsoft's shareholders said yes, we want to adopt Bitcoin. Less than 1%. But the key here is they got forced. Their shareholders said, wait a minute, you have a fiduciary responsibility to actually look after our capital and manage that in a appropriate way. Actually look after our capital. So number 3 on the list, Microsoft, they've been forced. Amazon, number 5 on the list. They have also been urged by their shareholders to investigate Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset. And now we have Meta Platforms, formerly known as Facebook, the $1.554 trillion giant, being forced to also investigate Bitcoin as a treasury asset. And of course, we have Tesla here at number 8 on this list. They hold Bitcoin on the balance sheet. And then number 9 on this list, we have TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor Chip Company. These guys produce 90% of the advanced semiconductor chips in the entire world. And again, let's remember, where are all of those Bitcoin mining chips and Bitcoin ASICs produced? They're produced in Southeast Asia. Just a coincidence. I'm not going to draw any conclusions from that one. All I will say is that stay tuned to what TSMC does. I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a Bitcoin play there by TSMC. And again, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Bitcoin play from many of these companies, just because the chart of MicroStrategy looks like this. It looks bananas, it looks stupid, and it is only a matter of time before these other companies are forced to copy the MicroStrategy playbook. Okay, this playbook is moving around the world. Amazon is being forced to investigate Bitcoin in a pretty big way. Let's not forget, this news is literally a month old. Amazon shareholders push for a minimum of a 5% Bitcoin allocation in the 5th largest company in the world. Minimum 5% allocation. Let's not forget was it Schwab Network? There was an interview on Schwab Network where the analyst said, unless you have a 10% Bitcoin allocation, you are falling behind. You're losing ground. Amazon shareholders look to have maybe just figured that out as well. We want a minimum 5% allocation. Now, again, their chance to get a 5% allocation could be shrinking. It really, really, really could be shrinking, and it could be moving away. We know that MicroStrategy is rapidly climbing this list. Okay, it is only a matter of time before they buy more Bitcoin, and there's just not the Bitcoin left on exchanges for these other companies to buy more Bitcoin than Michael Saylor. Again, it always goes back to that supply shock that we talk about all the time here on the channel. There's only 2 million Bitcoin sitting on exchanges, guys. MicroStrategy right now is squatting on about 450,000 coins. That means there's only enough Bitcoin on exchanges for 4 companies to buy more Bitcoin than MicroStrategy. And again, that assumes that all of the other buyers like the ETFs and MicroStrategy and the nation state FOMO we're watching today stops, and they don't buy any of those 2 million Bitcoin and take them off the exchanges. Mr. B, I believe that before next halving, they will be all in. I typically agree as well. Maybe even by the end of this cycle. Maybe, just maybe. But again, this window of opportunity for the world's largest companies to buy more Bitcoin than MicroStrategy, it's rapidly shrinking. Okay, their days are seriously numbered. Okay, again, it's not just the billionaires and the public corporations' days who are numbered. Your days are numbered if you got Bitcoin on an exchange or if you're holding BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF product. I always encourage you guys, please, for the love of God, take self-custody of your Bitcoin, put it in a hardware wallet, take control of your Bitcoin private keys. That's why we say not your keys, not your coins in Bitcoin. Again, once you have taken control of your private keys, your 12 or your 24 word seed phrase, I always encourage you guys to back up those very precious pieces of words on something like these titanium plates that you guys can get from Stampseed. Okay, this is where you should be backing up your Bitcoin private keys, your Bitcoin backup words, go and get yourself Thor's hammer. Have a look at this puppy right here. It's great fun to play around with. I actually use this as a little bit of a self-defense weapon to defend myself from my roommate, Brandon, who's in the live chat at the moment right now. It's actually a good little hammer. But in all seriousness, check out what Stampseed is doing. You guys can get 15% off anything you do want to buy from Stampseed with promo code Luke15. That'll get you 15% discount off anything you want to buy. James, I believe James is the man who was speaking a little bit of Spanish to me before we got started today. He says, I have a titanium plate in my head. Be careful memorizing your 12 or 24 words, guys. It's definitely an advanced move out there. I'm too concerned of bumping my my big noggin somewhere. I do have a big melon. Ask Brandon, he's in the chat, about how big my melon is. And I'm too concerned of bumping it somewhere and forgetting my Bitcoin backup words. And Mr. B makes a great point. Like, these billionaires, they're typically going to be too late. I mean, they've missed MicroStrategy's enormous rise. They've missed out on having the opportunity to do this to their share price. That's the market cap history of MicroStrategy. 1 billion to 80 billion in 4 years. That's actually crazy. James says, let's put Zuck and Saylor in the octagon. If I could bring it up, I will. There we go. I would pay to see that. I would actually pay to see that. Bitcoin is tanking in the background while Luke is on a live stream. Let me try to show you guys. Let's find the price of Bitcoin. I wonder if you guys can see it. Maybe if I drop my big head out of the way, it will focus on the screen. Wait on. Did that work? Maybe it did. We got 501 of you guys. Let me know if you can see the price of Bitcoin in the background there. I've been told we're dumping though. It's going to be disappointing if we're dumping. I'm going to bring it up on screen for you guys. Let's have a look at the price. See where Bitcoin is right now. I honestly couldn't tell you where the price of Bitcoin is, guys. I don't bullshit you when I say the only time I check the price of Bitcoin is on the live streams. I do think price is the least important aspect of Bitcoin. We're at 94,000. Gary's my boy. When your fat head is not in the way, you guys can see the price of Bitcoin in the background. Let's have a look at this chart here. What do we got? All right, Bitcoin is at $94,000. Is Zuckerberg buying Bitcoin right now for Facebook's balance sheet? Potentially. Who called that a dump in the chat? Whoever called that a dump, I'm going to roast them. I think it was Brandon too from Green Candle. Name and shame. I'm naming and shaming Brandon from Green Candle. Now look, oh no, Bitcoin is dead. McLovin sums my thoughts up pretty well here. Oh no, Bitcoin is dead. Now, red candle, Mikic, I love that. All right, so now there's a little bit more to this Zuckerberg story that meets the eye. Okay. What I think is really interesting is the timing of Zuckerberg's rebranding. What am I talking about? Well, let's not forget, our boy Zuck, he's kind of been known to be a nerd for a pretty long time. But now he's partnering up with some of the more based individuals in the world, like Dana White. It's interesting. Dana White's one of the most outspoken people in the world when it comes to censorship. And let's just say the hysteria that we saw sweep the world over the past 5 years. And now all of a sudden we're seeing Zuckerberg kind of make a little bit of a backflip himself, because I can remember very vividly, Facebook was the worst censorship platform in 2020. I remember it vividly because from 2020, I had thousands, probably thousands of posts deleted on Facebook. At the time, I was trapped in the Australian prison. I hardly knew Bitcoin Twitter. And I was very loud and proud about the fact that locking people in a prison cage in early 2020 was a terrible idea. Very terrible idea. And I remember anything related to that kind of narrative on Facebook, I just got tweets deleted. I got fact checkers. Now, speaking of fact checkers, look at this. Mark Zuckerberg says ending fact checkers will curb censorship. Fact checkers say he's wrong. Don't you love these headlines? They just write themselves sometimes. But Zuckerberg is kicking out all of the fact checkers. We can see here, Zuckerberg on Rogan, Facebook censorship was something out of 1984. He said it himself. Facebook has now ended fact checkers. Elon Musk has essentially won. Why did Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook and Instagram end the fact-checking program? Why? Because they're not based in reality, obviously, because everybody who pays the fact-checkers go and follow the money. I need to be really careful with what I say here. But just go and look who are the biggest contributors to the fact-checkers. You'll see some pretty popular names on that list. You'll even see, what's really interesting, is former CEOs of public company number 3 on this list. Who was the former CEO of Microsoft? Somebody tell me in the chat. Who was he? Who was he? Who was the former CEO of Microsoft? I'm sorry, Digger. I really don't want to get this channel deleted. I really don't, because it will get deleted, but I'm sure you guys can figure it out. The former CEO of Microsoft is one of the biggest funders of fact checkers. He's invested tens of millions of dollars into fact checkers, along with other names like Soros. And again, who were most pro the hysteria in 2020? Well. I'm going to be really careful with what I say here, guys. All I am going to say is that individuals like this man right here, Zuckerberg, he was in cahoots with some of the most globalist people promoting agendas that were not good for you or I. I was not a fan of the censorship in Australia. I was not a fan of getting locked in a prison cell for 2 years and not being able to move more than 5 kilometers from my home unless I had a special exemption. Nobody's named and shamed in the chat yet. This is disappointing. Very disappointing. I'm sure you guys can read in between the lines and you know you can kind of pick up what I'm putting down. But what I will say, I'm not talking about Fink either. No. I'm not talking about Fink. I'm talking about another globalist. But what I will say is that the timing of Zuckerberg's rebranding is a little bit of an interesting one. And again, what would be, here we go, there we go. People are switched on here. Just go and follow where this man invests his money. Not only into the fact checkers, but also in medical places. That's all I'm going to say. And the WEF is losing control. I think we've won. I think we won the first battle against the WEF. Oh, shoot. Oh, you guys crack me up sometimes. I won't even read that comment. What I will say is that it's interesting that Mark Zuckerberg is having the massive rebranding that he's having now. He's partnering up with base individuals like the CEO of the UFC. He's kicking out the fact checkers. He's saying I was wrong. He's saying that Facebook was a little bit like 1984, an Orwellian nightmare. And I think adopting Bitcoin by Facebook would be something that would help Zuckerberg's brand even more. Everybody knows he's trying to rebrand himself right now. We can even see here by this article headline, the chat. It looks like Zuckerberg's wardrobe and morals both got a little bit of a Make America Great Again rebrand. Again, since Trump was elected, all of these worms and all of these cockroaches who wanted to lock you in a prison cell in 2020 for speaking your mind on their social media platforms, they're doing a little bit of a pivot. And I don't want you guys to get them off lightly. They are a cockroach. And they should not be trusted. Again, I don't want today's video speculating about whether Facebook will adopt Bitcoin. This isn't a positive video. I love Facebook. Good on Meta. I love Zuckerberg. Pump my bag, Zuckerberg. Okay, that's not the only angle I'm exploring here. What we're also exploring is the meteoric crashing and burning of Facebook's prior attempt to create a digital money. That's the Libra project that Mr. B mentioned in the chat. Mr. B can nearly read my mind because this was the next tab that I was going to show you guys. How the wheels came off Facebook's Libra project. There we go. All the way back in 2019, Facebook tried to create a digital currency, Libra. It was going to be a stablecoin backed by lots of different fiat currencies around the world. And the US government hauled Mr. Zuckerberg into Congress and said, you are not allowed to do that. So, I mean, I think it's clear that we do know that Facebook's had a little bit of an interest in Bitcoin for a long time. Maybe, just maybe, if Facebook bought Bitcoin, the 7th largest company in the world, we might see one of these, a green candle, baby, a big green dildo of a Bitcoin $100,000 Omega candle. I think we'd see, again, who knows, but we are going to see one eventually. Maybe watching these magnificent 7 companies, maybe it was watching these magnificent 7 companies adopt Bitcoin. That'll be the thing that gives us the green candle. This is hilarious. I've tricked Nick a beauty with this one. I started today's video without the glasses. Honestly, guys, it's 9 o'clock over here. I want my sleep, and I'm staring at 2 big, bright lights. It's actually incredibly bright. So I'm sorry. I'm going to continue wearing the red light glasses. Hey, presto, they're back. Bye-bye. Adios, Nick. As my buddy Brandon would say, what does he say? You hate me, you love me, you still watched. Sorry, Brandon, I'm stealing your tagline. Did you say a green what? A green candle. Green candle is what we saw. All right, guys. There's 674 of you guys tuning in, getting incredibly rowdy in the chat tonight. Let's keep an eye on what happens with this story regarding Facebook. We don't have a date for when Meta is supposed to be voting on this. Not yet. But that day is coming. Okay, so keep an eye on what Meta is doing. A quick little side note, if you are in Medellin, Colombia right now for the Bitcoin conference, I am living with my man Green Candle right now. And we're actually putting on a little bit of a, we'll call it a shindig. We're putting on a little bit of a workshop, a little bit of a mastermind. A lot of people ask me how I'm able to travel to like 30 different countries over the past 3 years and make money online. So we're going to have a few special guests, giving a few special talks, a couple of masterminds, a couple of workshops, so to say. So if you are in Medellin, click the link in the description down below. If you want to come hang out with me and Brandon, we're going to be putting on a little bit of a shindig. We've got a pretty snazzy little Airbnb hooked up. So again, if you want to check that out, check it out. If you message me directly, I will give you guys, I'll hook you up with a little bit of a discount on tickets to obviously cover the cost for food, drinks. We're going to be there all day. It's going to be like a 12-hour event, 12 to 12, free food, free drinks, the whole shebang. You're going to get not only talks from me and my buddy Brandon, but we're also going to get workshops from a couple of special guests. Not going to name names yet, but if you're in town, you might be able to guess who a couple of those guests might be. So check out the link to that in the description. If you are in Medellin, Colombia, even if you have a friend who's at the conference, if you send them our way, we'll hook them up with a discount. We'll even throw you some sats if you want to make some quick satoshis. This chat is on fire. Who wants some free Bitcoin? All right, guys, I'm going to end this one here. Thank you so much to the 696 of you guys for tuning in. Thanks for the banter in the chat. We've got to get moving. We're actually late for a massage here. Come on, Brandon. So I'm going to cut this one here. I'm going to wish you guys a happy Saturday night, and I'm going to see you in another 2 live streams tomorrow.